Hi, everyone. Welcome to meal kit number 13 for the week of August 18th to 22nd by Curated by Beckta. Thank you for ordering. Thanks for being here. We're very excited. It's a really interesting menu tonight. Um, We've got this beautiful elote, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, Mexican style grilled corn. Now, I have never had corn so good as I've had it from Rito Pine's farm in Manotick. It is just the best thing ever. And we've got the beautiful top of the season corn, and we're going to do it Mexican style. So, the first thing we're going to do, we have it on these little skewers for you. So, you're going to take some of the jalapeno aioli and you're going to just brush it on top of the corn. And I've got the oven on broil, so 450 degrees. Now you can do this either in the oven or on the barbecue, but tonight, which is Monday night, there was a tornado warning, so we elected to do it inside. I hope you don't mind. But barbecue would be great for both the appetizer and the main course this week. So we're just giving it a little bit of fat with the jalapeno aioli on there, and it's going to caramelize really nicely with it. You're going to need to just spin it around. So you're going to take about half the aioli and rub it on because we need something afterwards to make it sticky so that all of this beautiful garnish that make it so special gets on there. Okay, so that's going in the oven for convect, 450 degrees, and in just a couple minutes, and we're going to flip it real quick and then get rolling on the garnishes. I want to tell you a little bit about the wine. We got a lot of exotic stuff for you this week. So the wine, the white is from Greece, and it's an alchemist, and it's crazy. Our wine director Connor just picks these incredible things that you would never heard of and you wouldn't have been exposed to. So the grape varieties are just, I mean, they're all in your package. I'm not going to try to rip apart the Greek language by trying to pronounce this, but they're from lime-rich soils near the Ionian Sea, medium-bodied and dry, aromatic floral nose with lemon and nuts on the palate, finishes with baked buttered apple and herbs, balanced acidity. Extremely excited about this interplay of flavors in the pairing between sweet, spicy, and buttery that allows this incredible wine to leap out of the glass, and it really does. So I hope you enjoy that. So while the corn is roasting away, I'm going to start on the main course as well. So tonight we've got black peppercorn rubbed flank steak, and we do it sous vide. Now flank is an item that many people aren't crazy about because they need the technology in order to properly do it. Flank steak is normally very tough, but we already cook it for you to just the lowest level of medium rare, done sous vide. So when it's done under pressure, it becomes super tender. So we want to get the pan smoking hot. So as hot as you can possibly get it because you want to get a nice sear on it. Use a neutral oil. I love using grapeseed oil because it has the highest smoking content. So you can really get it up there. I'm going to put the hood fan on just a little bit so that we don't smoke things out. Hopefully you can still hear me. You know what? I'm going to turn it off so that I don't mess up the audio. All for you guys. Okay, so while that's going on, we also want to get our saute pan nice and hot. And we're going to do the same thing. A little grapeseed oil in this case, but we're going to finish it with a little bit of butter. So make sure that I get some butter out here. Because you need a little bit of luxurious mouthfeel with the veggies, and that's what the butter gives you. So we're going to saute it in oil, but we're going to put some butter on it just at the end to finish. Okay, so the corn is probably ready to be switched over. Starting to caramelize a little bit. Turn that like that. I'm back in on the other side. Put it right up at the top near the broil. Okay, now our pan is getting nice and hot for the steak and for the veggies. So the steak is actually going to cook almost a little bit faster than the veggies. So I'm going to throw the veggies in right now. So we blanched these beautiful baby potatoes, and we've got the broccoli and the mushrooms in there. And don't forget, we're going to add some of the pickled leeks. And always very important to season. Now the steak has the peppercorn crust already, so you don't have to pre-season it. but you are going to finish it off with some salt and pepper. A little salt and pepper there. Now, I'm going to jump ahead for the appetizer. So we've got this beautiful cilantro for you that's fresh picked, and some scallions all in the same. But the thing you want to do with the cilantro, we don't want to cut it up for you ahead of time because then it all goes brown and loses a lot of its flavor and freshness. But you need it to be very small in order to put on the corn. So this is the first time I can remember actually in these meal kits where I've actually had to use a knife. But yeah, you want the cilantro really nice and small. There we go. I'm gonna put a little more oil in here just because there's a lot of stuff in there and I don't want it sticking. So I noticed that the steak pan is getting nice and hot. So the steaks are gonna go in here. Get the juices. So only like 90 seconds each side. So make sure to pay attention. And here's the other little secret trick that I should have gotten ahead of time. Secret trick to steaks, the resting pan. So it's a cookie sheet on top of a baking sheet. Now don't put it on top of your induction stove because the stove will start beeping at you. So the potatoes are coming along nicely. My cilantro is almost chopped. I want to see how my corn is doing in just a second. Always pay attention to the veg. Now my steak is probably ready. Oh yeah, so you want a nice little crust on it. Again, 90 seconds on each side. I'm just going to spin these one more time to get the stuff on the downside all squared away. This looks like a lot of work, but remember, I'm trying to compress 2 courses into one. So that's why it's a little more hectic at the moment. Okay, all my garnishes are ready to go for the corn. I'm going to put the combination of the scallions and the cilantro back in. And don't forget to keep that mayo close at hand because we're going to be basting it with that in just a minute. Now this is going pretty fast on the veg. So we're just going to lower the heat. The steak, a few more seconds on there. And I want to talk about the red wine for a second. Also a really interesting, unique wine. So this is from Portugal, wine that expresses the singular character of the Alento region, though through a blend of 3 traditional varieties growing in top vineyard sites and handmade with minimal intervention. Again, you've got the write-ups. So I'm going to let you read them versus me trying to guess how the Portuguese will pronounce this. But the way I got the title is Fita Preta from Antonio Mancantia. Anyway, it's really delicious. It's smoky, herbal, very bright. You want some acidity to go with the beautiful chimichurri sauce. So very key there. So the veg is getting almost done. Put a couple butter pats in there. You want to just melt the butter, and then you're going to season it with some salt and pepper again. Okay. I think the steaks are good. So this is honestly the thing that most people mess up when cooking steak, is that they forget to rest the meat. Greatest hack of all time in the restaurant business. You take your meat and you rest it for at least half the time it took to cook. But in this case, we've actually done the sous vide ahead of time, so we've cooked it for quite a bit. So you would think, okay, I only need to rest it for 90 seconds. Let it rest for a little bit. I'm gonna give it like 5 minutes of resting because all the juices go into the center, and then when you cut open it, it shouldn't bleed. It shouldn't have all the blood come out of it. And then you know you've rested it properly. But what I've done is I've just put this whole thing on top of the pan so that I'm keeping it warm because you don't want it to get cold, but you want it to rest. So let's see how our corn is doing. Starting to blister up nicely. So we're gonna go ahead and plate this. turn the oven off. All right. I don't know if you can see that, but really nice blistering. So next up, I'm gonna get some tongs so I don't burn my hand. And again, the other part of the mayo is here. You don't have to do it on the whole sort of roundabout. You can just do it on the top. And then I want to make sure that I do it correct to the descriptions. So in order, we want to add the feta cheese. Crumble it all. Now this is going to, you know what I should do? I should actually move them to the plate now so that all the garnish goes on the plate instead of on my pan. I love how I sort of figure this out as I go along, and I usually send little adaptations in the menus. Because yeah, you want that beautiful feta on the plate. And it's going to start melting right there on the hot corn. Gorgeous. And again, for those of you who have tuned in before, we always like to have one plate that is the really perfect plate for the Instagram shots. Okay, make sure the veg, even though it's down low, I'm giving it a stir while that butter is melting. Next up is the pepitas. Pepita crumble. So pepitas, otherwise known as pumpkin seeds, very popular in Mexico, which is what where this dish comes from. Make sure we're still taping. Yes, we are. All right. And then the cilantro and scallion combo. Oh, this is looking really good. I love using my hands when cooking. I don't know about you guys. Some people don't like to use their hands, but I love it. Just make sure to wash them in between. And away we go. Got that out of the way. And then, of course, the squeeze of lemon, or lime, excuse me. And I'm going to leave that right on the plate so that you know what we did. All right. Now here is our beautiful Rito Pines corn on the cob, done Mexican style. And that is for my wonderful photographer to take a picture of. All right, veg is looking good. So we're going to move to the main course now. And get these all plated up nicely. Now the important thing to do before we cut anything, before we plate the veg, we'll clean off our cutting board. I always wonder with cooking shows, you know, there's got to be like a team of professionals that are back there sort of picking things apart and cleaning up for the chef. I don't have any of those, just me. So let's see how we're doing on the steak resting part. Looking good. All right. Make sure our veg is coming along nicely. Oh yeah, and because I've got a non-stick pan, we want some non-stick tongs to pull that out in a second. But again, don't forget to season it with salt and pepper at the end. We did at the beginning, but you also want at the end. There we go. And same thing with the steak. Some salt. There's lots of pepper on there, so you don't need to. So here's the important part. So the steak has some lines to it. So it has natural sort of seams. So find out where the seams are, and you want to go against the seams, against the grain, because by doing that, it becomes much more tender. Because if you're eating with it, with the seams, so yeah, There we go. Then yeah, it becomes much more tough to eat because this way you're sort of breaking up the natural fibrous part of the steak. This is looking really great. Okay, got that going on. Okay, now we've got our veg going down. Yeah, that's my oven telling me, my stovetop telling me that we're done. There's a lot of potatoes in here. I might not use them all tonight. Maybe you'll get a couple less potatoes because there's a lot of potatoes here. But make sure to get all those delicious pickled leeks and beautiful mushrooms. And I don't know if you can see, but there's no blood running onto the cutting board. So it means that I've rested it enough, which makes me very happy. Because I would have been really embarrassed if I talked all about that and then there was some blood running on there. So just going to take the steak, and you want to fan it out so you see some of the red. To the middle. And cooking is sort of a high touch thing, so lots of hands, that's not a bad thing. Okay, so I've already seasoned it, so I don't need to do that again. Now we've got the chimichurri sauce, and it's going to go right over top. Big kick of brightness, herbaceousness. And why not? I've got two of these. So we're going to do a little bit on the plate here. And my wife has suggested that I come up with a new term for the chef swoosh, or the Nike swoosh. So maybe if any of you guys have a suggestion, you can email me and let me know what you think is a good term for the chef swoosh. I was wondering which one it was. I think this is going to be the winner here. So our beautiful peppercorn marinated flank steak with the chimichurri and the roast baby potatoes, mushrooms, pickled leeks. And put those off the side. Hopefully our son comes home for dinner soon. He's at a buddy's place. And now I am going to hook up the dessert. One of my favorite things in the entire world, pecan tart. It's kind of a pecan pie. And so we have some gorgeous whipped cream. We're going to put on top and on the side. I should always ask the chef how he wants to plate this because I've always got my ideas, but you know what? He's the pro. And Chef Rich, I'm gonna ask you next time how you want this done. So that's nice. And then we've just got the bourbon cherries. Oh man, this looks good. And there we go. A beautiful pecan tart, the bourbon cherries, and fresh whipped cream. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for ordering. I really hope you enjoy this. I'm super excited for dinner, and hopefully we'll see you next week.